Hello, guys, girls, and whole new worlds. Welcome to episode 4 of our podcast, Character Crashers, where we discuss both popular and obscure media that we enjoy and come up with character concepts surrounding the fandoms. My name is Colin.
I'm Morgan.
And I'm Taylor, and today's media of choice is the ever-popular League of Legends fantasy series, Arcane Season 2. Today's episode is based on Arcane Season 2, where again, we are focused on Piltover and Zaun. Following the events of Season 1, we have more violent outbreaks between Piltover and Zaun residents after one of the main characters, Jinx, blows up Piltover's council. Zaun's Chembarons are fighting internally, and Zaun starts to revolt against Piltover using Jinx as a symbol. Now, there's a lot of stuff to summarize, but to go over the big stuff, Victor starts a cult connected to the more natural aspects of the Arcane, the world's form of magic. Victor dies, all of his followers effectively die, he comes back to life and gets a puppet army, big final battle against Victover where Piltover and Zaun join forces because they don't want to die, and Zaun gets a seat at the table with Xavia in the council, and everything seems okay. After a lot of people die.
Let's not forget that Victor looks like Jesus.
Jesus Christ incarnate!
Since I introduced my Arcane OC, Iris, in our last Arcane episode where we discussed Season 1, in this episode I'll simply be talking about some of the changes I made to Iris as we entered Season 2. If you haven't seen the Arcane Season 1 episode yet and want to learn more about Iris, go ahead and check that out. We'll be sure to have it linked in the video's description below. So at the end of Season 1, we all should know by now that Silco, the main antagonist of Season 1, according to the show's wiki anyway, died at the hands of Jinx, which was an accident, as we all know. Well, following Silco's death, Iris was reasonably upset, mourning the death of her partner, though she takes care not to let the grief consume her. Even still, she takes the jacket Silco wore often and adopts it into her own wardrobe. While the nation of Zaun is in a divide, Iris sticks to Xavia and tries to keep order with very little success. Eventually, Jinx reunites with the two women, and while she makes a new prosthetic arm for Xavia, specifically made with a large helping of Jinx Flare, Jinx later makes her adoptive mother, Iris, a prosthetic pair of mechanical wings to replace the ones she lost all those years ago. While the wings aren't made for flying, they can be the perfect lethal weapons if used properly in a fight, given the razor-sharp properties of the metallic feathers, and they also provide Iris with the comforting weight she missed feeling on her back, even if they are a tad bit heavier. Over the course of the series, a lot happens, as Taylor described, but through it all, Iris does her best to stand by her beloved daughter Jinx, her strong-willed and strong-armed friend Xavia, who may or may not become Iris's new romantic partner, an undecided detail really, and the little girl Isha, who entered the lives of this little misfit family at just the right time.
I'd like to introduce you all to Rodome Heimerdinger. Rodome is the twin brother of Cecil B. Heimerdinger, or as we just know him, Heimerdinger. Rodome lived in the shadows of his twin for most of his life. Heavily neglected by his parents for not succeeding in the same extent he did, he finds himself in Zaun, whereas Heimerdinger rose to the council of Piltover. The name Rodome translates to scrap in Italian, which is fitting given what he has become. In Zaun, he lives and works in a small garage, tinkering away at different projects. Many of them are for himself, but he also freelances for any party that seeks his skill set. Rodome rocks a steampunk aesthetic, goggles, gloves, boots, etc. He sports a black vest and has brown, scraggly hair with a green fade towards its ends. He also has a short beard knotted in a braid. Rodome despises his brother for his success and for never having reached out a hand to him in times of need. It wasn't until Season 2, when Heimerdinger was in and around Zaun, that he found himself in the presence of Rodome. The two hadn't seen each other for decades at this point and broke out into a fight. After squabbling, Rodome makes his stand and Heimerdinger comes to the realization that he should have tried to be there more for his brother. The two gain a better understanding of each other and begin to try building a better relationship. This leads to Rodome becoming an ally in events later on. Following the death of Heimerdinger in the alternate timeline, Echo approaches him and tells him of the sorrowing news. Rodome is upset, but finds comfort in the closure he got before his brother's passing.
All right, and now we're going to be transitioning into our unscripted portion, which we have every time, where we kind of come up with a new character. This time, however, instead of coming up with a new character, we decided to take our collaboration character Xavia from our first Arcane episode and kind of just see what we can add to her for Season 2.
All right, Jesus, take the wheel. Let's do
Okay.
this.
Does anybody want to go first?
For adding on to this character?
Yeah. So do we kind of want to obviously I feel like what would be a good idea is if we just pop up images of our previous art from the
Right,
previous episode
yeah.
just so
Okay.
people can see what we've seen.
Yeah.
So going off of what we have already for our previous designs,
And what their job is and stuff like that.
So we knew they were a bounty hunter, I think we
Yeah,
said she, they,
bounty
right?
hunter. Yeah.
Okay, so we know Xavia was bounty hunter. We know she basically, it was mostly capture missions. She was there for hire, whoever decided to pay her. She did a lot of work for Silco. We knew she was a lizard person, as we said. She was previously born in Piltover, became Zon, stuff like that. Okay, so going off of what we know of her, what do we want to adjust?
So I think it'd be a good idea to kind of figure out maybe where she fits in parts of a story, and then maybe that can kind of determine how she changes.
Okay. Well, we know that she was working with the Silco group, and we knew
Right.
that she, on occasion, and we knew that she had a kind of bond with Savika, because we talked about this. So, I don't know, maybe she's still sticking with Savika. I feel like being a bounty hunter for hire is less of a necessity right now while we're in the midst of a civil war between Zon and Piltover.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
also I feel like because of the infighting that was happening between the Chemparans, work was harder to do.
Oh, that's true.
because
there
no
was,
matter what, you'd be making an enemy of
Yeah,
someone.
because
Yeah.
there was Savika, there was the weird rat guy, there was those, I don't know, what to call them, the slutty woman. That's a
terrible descriptor.
I know, but that's
No,
kind of
that's,
what they
great
looked
description.
like, though. They had all that BDSM stuff going on.
Or let's just
weirdly.
Google search a slutty.
Yeah, anyway. I feel like there was one other person. There was that nose lady, but she kind of got dealt with eventually.
Yeah, she did.
So, but anyway,
So yeah, I think she'd stick with Savika too.
Stick with
Yeah, let's
Savika.
say
It's
she
like
sticks
the
with
most
Savika.
secure position, and also siding with Savika would be optimal because she was just trying to get Zon back together.
yeah.
And it's just it's better for business.
I think we should.
it's
I think we
functioning.
should figure out how close of a relationship we have her. Is she in the main group where it's Savika, Jinx, and Isha, or is it she's just around Savika a lot? Is she actually part of this little misfit family, or is she just helping?
I kind of like to think that maybe she kind of slowly starts to become more of a part of that family.
Okay.
The longer she's with Savika, the more she kind of starts to phase into that family.
Yeah, I can see that too.
Okay. So I have some potential notes for some physical changes. If you guys want me to list those off.
Yeah, what do you got?
Just some random things. So, I don't know which of you guys did hair. If you added hair to Xavia, did
I
you?
did not. No hair. For
No
the
hair on the more lizard-looking one. I did a very trimmed down to the scalp on the more human-looking
Right,
one.
that's because you did two different heads
Yeah.
for the character because you couldn't decide. I did hair. So for me, it's probably going to be a me personally thing, if anything. I was considering potentially hair longer because obviously time passes, so hair changes as time passes. I was thinking potentially some blue added somewhere. For me personally, I was thinking maybe blue at the ends of my character's hair. But just some blue on there, just show support for Jinx, maybe. I don't know. Of course, dyeing your hair blue was getting you in trouble a lot throughout season 2, so who knows. But another thing I was considering, maybe a prosthetic. Because obviously Savika has her prosthetic arm consistently. Jinx at some point after Arc 1 gets a prosthetic middle finger.
So I actually had a thought on a prosthetic. So at the very least for my drawing, I had part of the tail clipped off, and Komodo dragons can't usually
Grow back their tails.
regenerate parts of their body like other lizards can.
Yeah, we did check on
So maybe some kind of form of prosthetic tail that
Okay.
and maybe it can actually do stuff you
See,
can put an attachment or
I don't
something
know.
on there.
I would imagine instead of a prosthetic, just take it out of the tail.
Yeah. So that was one of my options was She ends up like losing her tail at some point because you, I think, are the only one who actually has.
Yeah, and it's not like a lot missing. It's more so just like towards the very end.
I was thinking like a large portion of the tail goes missing for some reason or other, and either we can just have the tail, that portion of the tail, be missing, or prosthetic tail, as we were saying. Also, other I was considering is like she could have prosthetic finger or fingers, prosthetic hand, prosthetic arm, like something. I just like I feel like prosthetic leg is not optimal. I mean, obviously, prosthetic legs are a thing that can happen, obviously. I just don't feel like it's a good idea with this character. Either a prosthetic, obviously we don't need to do it, but I'm just thinking like that. No,
if we did a prosthetic hand, I do kind of like the idea that maybe she has like retractable claws. Because most primarily their fingers are already kind of like claws. I mean, maybe a retractable option.
I feel like no, because I feel like lizards can't really retract their claws anyway, but also like I feel like that would be a lot of mechanical like stuff that would need to be doing. And here's the thing, like who's making the prosthetic? Probably Jinx, honestly.
Yeah.
Let's be right here. So, who knows? Some certain outfit changes I was thinking of could be, so Arc 1 we're introduced to something called the Gray, which is like this, what was it, like smog from...
Yeah.
Whatever, anyway, I don't remember what the word I'm thinking of is, but it's some sort of like nauseous smog that can basically make the Zonites sick or incapacitated or something by way of inhalation. It also affects their eyes, I learned. So our character already has air filtered gas mask because she's from Piltover, moved to Zon. She's not used to the air of Zon, so that's why she uses her gas mask a lot. I'm thinking potentially goggles we could add to the mask just to like fend off from the smog's like eye effect as well, potentially. Another thing we had was I think we originally had said potentially like some sort of cloak was a part of their design. I know I added it in my design at least once in one of the drawings that I had. So I was thinking maybe the cloak, just for better movability, would no longer be a cloak. It would just be like a scarf or something, just something like bunched on her, like around her neck. Yeah, because like I feel like with the cloak, it's just like there's a lot of like constriction to it. And also I'm pretty sure Xavia, she had a cloak, but then I feel like after like Arc 2 happened, she wasn't using it all that much anymore. So I just feel like the cloak's a little, it's gonna affect her movability, and it'd probably be better if we didn't have it. I feel like a scarf would be nice, because then it's like protecting her neck from stuff, but yeah. And then the other thing I had was like potentially scars added, or maybe not. Like, because I feel like there's going to be a lot of fighting within Zon right now.
Story-wise, for the prosthetic, do we want to have it be like a significant moment, or it's just an unnamed moment where they need a prosthetic?
I could go either way on that. Maybe it could be cool to have like an actual specific scene in which something major happens and she loses that part of her.
I feel like it should be a significant like scene.
Yeah, I feel like so, because I feel like with the two people that had prosthetics, specifically I'm thinking Xavia and Jinx, the prosthetics had a significant moment, because Xavia, she lost her arm in the warehouse explosion. For Jinx, she lost her finger when her gun got shot out of her hand or something.
Right.
I forget specifically what the details were. But yeah, so I feel like some specific moment as to why she requires a prosthetic would be nice. We should probably discuss what prosthetic she has, though.
Yeah, we should figure that out.
Do we just want to go with the tail prosthetic?
Yeah, I think that's
I'm good with the tail.
a good one. It's also unique to the character.
It is.
Yeah. I'm also thinking about the fact that a prosthetic tail would be good, because I feel like if a person with a tail loses their tail, it affects their balance. Because I feel like that's like half the thing with the tail. It's like you grow up with the tail for long enough, you're gonna require that for balance purposes.
Do we want to say it's like the whole tail, or is it like starting at a certain portion?
It could be either. I think it depends on what we want. Taylor, how much tail are you willing to lose?
I don't want to lose like a lot.
You don't want to lose like the entire tail?
I like the aesthetic of a long tail.
Maybe like the last like third of the tail.
Well, I mean, we're
gets
doing like a
chopped from?
prosthetic tail, so it could still be a long tail. It would just. What if like half the tail is lost?
Okay.
I'm good with half.
I can deal with half.
Yeah.
Half the tail
I
is
also
lost.
think it
and
would
then-
be easier to mount if it was.
If there was still
If
a
there
bit
was
of
still
tail
a part
left.
of it left, yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like if you just lose the entire tail, then you just got a stump. That's not going to be very
No,
good
it's not.
for prosthetic mounting. I'm thinking about let's consider when specifically
Yes.
the tail was
So-
lost. So I feel like same as season 1, arc 1 was kind of like a like an intro kind of thing to the season, because like between arc 1 and arc 2 and 3 there's like a bit of a, not a significant time gap as there was with season 1, but there's at least a bit of a time gap.
Yeah.
Because we see some changes happening both in Zon and with characters of Zon. So, well, not even just characters of Zon, just characters in general. But I'm gonna say probably like a significant amount of time, maybe like a couple months or something. Maybe not even.
Yeah.
Because like, considering the whole like Victor thing, like he was able to build like a whole commune village thing.
Yeah, but he does have
Yeah.
like godlike powers.
And also
At the
a
time.
lot of followers, but still,
true.
they have like a whole farm going on. So obviously there's like a few months spanning between arc 1 and arc 2/3.
Yeah,
There was a
'cause-
bit of time between arc 2 and arc 3 too, wasn't there?
I think there was a little. I don't think it was that
I don't know,
long,
I don't think it was
but
super long for that.
No, I'm still thinking of the span between arc 1 and arc 2. Never mind. But yeah, I'm gonna say maybe like few months. So, do we want to say like she lost a tail within arc 1 for some reason, and then
yeah, I just feel like we should figure out what the reason is, though. I'm like trying to think back on the events of arc 1, but I'm not sure where
What
I see
happened
her
in arc 1?
losing it. That's what I'm trying to think.
the explosion that destroyed the council,
It's definitely not the council one. 'Cause
Yeah,
a lot of them
No.
would
Yeah, there's
be
no
anywhere
reason
near
the
council.
Gray
should be
was
there.
released. There was a lot of infighting, as you said, with the people of Zon.
Yeah.
I think maybe at like, I don't know, a Jinx themed protest.
Oh yeah.
Sleep
I wanted
protest?
to. What about up on stage with the guys with the all those crazy weapons? Maybe something there.
Or it could be the one where
Wasn't-
he summons like Warwick.
Wasn't that during arc 2 though?
Yeah,
Was that arc 2?
That was during arc 2.
But like,
I mean, it
have
could still
happen
work.
during
Yeah.
the jail thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine. I like that. Okay, so
jail? Yeah.
maybe she was trying, like, either to protect Xavia or Isha. Like, are we okay? So here's what I want to know: are we saying that she gets captured with the people, with certain people who were at the, I don't know, the meeting or whatever it was? What would we call that? Like a strike?
Rally?
Yeah.
Rally. Yes. Would she have been arrested with certain people in the rally, or would she have escaped? Because I think depending on that, because I know Xavia escaped, but then Isha was captured.
I think it would, if we were gonna connect it to Isha and stuff, I would say probably with Isha.
I feel
So
like
captured.
I feel like it would be nice to have somebody there to like at least kind of like protect Isha.
Exactly.
Because she's like, I think wasn't she like the only kid that was
She
arrested?
was. Yeah, she was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would feel like our character would get arrested on purpose
To
her.
protect Isha.
to be around
Oh, I like
Isha
that. That's
during
good.
the arrest.
Do we want to say that she went after that guy that was the one that captured Isha, and that's how she lost her tail, because she got into a fight with him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How morbid is this? How do you deal with how? Okay, what happens to a Komodo dragon when you cut off its tail? I'm googling.
I don't know.
this.
Pain.
We just know it doesn't regenerate.
Yeah, but
blood.
does blood? Like,
I would
does the blood
imagine,
stop?
like,
Okay.
I would think if like you have the proper materials, we just take the scarf and we just
Wrap it around,
the
yeah.
tail stump.
A commode.
Let's think
so
about
let's see
this
how
though, because
this
if we're thinking
operates.
about Warwick, we know that Singed cut his hand to call Warwick to him. Imagine the additional blood of Xavia's tail
he's
getting
setting
cut
that
off.
off,
That's
yeah.
even worse.
What happens if the Komodo dragon?
Because, I mean, like, she's a good-sized individual. I mean, that's a lot of blood that she's
Especially
losing.
for half of the tail being lost.
Exactly.
What happens?
It's likely to regrow, guys.
What?
Guys, AI is telling me that
Wait,
it's likely to regrow.
wait, hold on. When we looked this up earlier, it said we don't. Let's see.
Well, it said like it's tended to be shorter. I don't know. But how fast does the regrowth process work? Probably not a lot, and not very quick.
So no, if you cut off the Komodo dragon's tail, it will not grow back. Keep in mind
Yeah.
though, if you try, you'll get a face full of tail like this otter. Wait,
Alright.
hold on.
It's just a video.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, so I think we're just gonna go along with the idea that the Komodo dragon doesn't grow back its tail,
Yeah.
because that just allows us to do the process.
I'm just wondering if Komodo dragons just have a specific like ability, like similar to lizards, but like
How do
when it
lizards
cuts
grow
off,
back their
it
tail,
doesn't. No, like I mean not like growing back the tail, but like there has to be something that stops lizards from bleeding out when their tail gets cut off. I'm just
that's
saying.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I say look into that. But I mean, like, we also gotta consider that this isn't a full-on lizard. This is a.
Like, humanoid.
It's because they're cold-blooded. It's 100% because they're cold-blooded. It's gotta be.
That they don't bleed out as fast.
Could
Yeah,
be.
because you gotta consider the fact that we're warm-blooded, and also, okay, I'm gonna take a clip from the movie Prey, which was one of the Predator movies. There was a whole thing that was very significant to this movie where a character was the main character gave this one side character who was kind of bleeding out this flower that was supposed to cool his blood, because if your blood gets cooled, then your heart slows, and therefore there's not a lot of blood being pumped out, and therefore you're less likely to bleed out. So potentially that could be a thing with reptiles where they're cold-blooded, and that's why potentially they don't bleed out as much, because they're cold-blooded, and therefore potentially their heart rate is slowed a lot more than a human, and therefore less likely to bleed out. Who knows?
All right.
I mean, I don't.
We can go with that idea.
Let's go with your
Yeah.
snake chopping story from your brother. Did the snake bleed out? Let's consider this.
So, this was so many years ago. I don't remember if there was blood. I more so just witnessed it being chopped and then launched into the woods. I did not actually see up close what it looked like.
Okay, I'm gonna go with the idea that because reptiles are cold-blooded, they don't bleed out as fast, or like they have a slowed blood circulation, and therefore they're less likely to bleed out. So, again, though, humanoid lizard person. So, are they? I feel like we discussed this. We said they were cold-blooded, right?
I think we
Yeah,
did,
we
actually.
are.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
So, do we want to think like potentially could be blood dripping from the tail, but it's not like an excessive amount?
Yeah, it's just like drops,
It's
not
just
like
trickles.
anything
And
crazy.
obviously, we would potentially have enough time to do a tourniquet around the
Right,
tail.
and still wrap the scarf
Do
around.
we think that Piltover would be bitchy enough to jail a person that is like
Bleeding out.
Yes.
lost a major
Yes.
limb?
Yeah, I would say so. Oh, I mean, we've seen some of the people that's been locked
I feel
up
like a
and
tail
how.
wouldn't be considered a major limb as well.
It's a pretty major limb. Like, it would be like the remains of the tail would be writhing somewhere.
Yeah, but I feel like let's also consider that like the majority of the population doesn't have a tail, so they might not really care as much.
And let's also consider the fact that the guy that did that some of the people that were there aren't technically from Piltover. They were Mbessa's people.
Oh, true.
So whatever that her clan is called, I don't remember. But they're not from Piltover, so maybe they don't fucking care.
The Ambessians.
No. I don't remember what they're called.
I have no idea.
Wait, what was the home of What was the home of Imbessa? What was that called? Because I know Mel was trying to go there. What was that called?
I'm gonna search this real quick.
Yeah, but like, so that might actually be what they're called. But anyway, so yeah, so I'm gonna. So yeah.
Noxus.
Noxus. So they were Noxians, weren't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
they would be.
But either way, they wouldn't care about people. They didn't care about people no matter what on this planet. They didn't planet. They didn't care about people anyway on this frickin' city. They didn't give a
Nope,
crap.
not really. Yeah.
They proved that on many occasions. So I don't think they would really give a crap, honestly.
Okay, if you say so.
So, yeah, okay. So, any other major changes that we want to make? Or is it like prosthetic limb and like
Do we
potential-
want to go off what you said before about scars, maybe verse something on her? Or do we want to say no scars?
I mean, we could add more damage to, again, same fight, and just have her, like, have some, like, scratches on her that we could potentially make into scars. But, I feel like the only, like, major injury would be the tail. And then, like, potentially we could do some more injuries. I don't know. I'm still debating whether or not I also want to add the goggles to her mask for the gray, but I mean, what if...
I mean, if we're removing, like, the hood cloak kind of thing, we could put the goggles on in place.
I mean, we could. I just had a thought. You know how we were talking about if the mask getting knocked off of her, like breathing problems, stuff like that?
Yeah.
There could be a potential for her mask getting knocked off of her in the fight she has while protecting Isha, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
What if, like, if it getting knocked off of her, like she gets like a scratch on her face or something from it getting knocked off her? What if he just completely shatters the mask?
Ooh, that's
Ooh, all right.
And like the jagged pieces like scratch up her face a bit, like around her mouth area or like around that area right there on her like cheek or something. Because that'd be cool. I feel like then that would also force her to adjust more to the Zon air. Because I feel like over time she's adjusted, but she's still like
Hesitant.
struggling with the exposure, and so that's why she has the mask still. But like the potential of like it being knocked off of her that like has her forces her to like adjust.
Like, she's
at,
on
like, a
edge,
faster
but
rate.
yeah, she kind of doesn't really have a choice now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think we could definitely work with that idea.
Okay. For anybody that can hear our background noise, there's a rock band practicing nearby. So if you're hearing that, that's what that is. I just figured I'd say that because I'm noticing
there's
it's
a lot on the
picked
mic
up
being picked up
over
for
here.
it.
So I just figured it would be useful to talk
Point
about
that
it.
out, yeah.
Just explain why that's there. Yeah. Anyway. Anything else we want to add?
Not really too much else comes to mind. Taylor,
I feel
what
like
about you?
I feel like this was going to
I think that's pretty much it.
be okay. I feel like that was pretty much going to be what I was figuring. Is like I felt like this was going to be a fairly
Shorter episode? Yeah.
because we were just adding
To the character.
/ subtracting things.
Wait, what did
From
we subtract?
The tail. We subtracted half a tail from Xavia.
Subtracted their limbs.
Yes.
Addition by subtraction.
Yeah.
Valid.
Character building by subtraction of limbs. Anyway, yeah, but yeah, I'd say that's good.
I think so.
Yeah, there's not much else. I'm still gonna be on a debate for myself because again, I think I said I'm the only one who put. Wait, Taylor, did you say that you had hair on your character?
Nope, no hair.
No hair.
On my more humanoid-looking head one,
Kinda.
I'm gonna take, again, the hair's very short to the scalp, but I could still dye that blue, because I do kind of like the Jinxer idea with the hair.
I'm gonna debate that. I'm gonna say like when I'm in the midst of editing her,
Like, see how it looks.
Like see how it looks.
Yeah.
But I might not. You'll see me going through that process. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, so that's it. Are we done for the day?
I
guess?
think so.
Okay, so that's the end of this section, I guess.
All right, and with that, this has been episode 4 of our new podcast, Character Crashers. We hope you all enjoyed our discussion of Arcane Season 2. If you're interested in more character media and creativity, go ahead and hit that follow button. And until next time, stay crashing.